It's a wonderful Friday morning, and you are most welcome again to our Shifting Blame series. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where in the world you're joining us from. My name is Estella Hilda Anaman, and I'm the coordinator for American Corner Abuba, and I'll be your moderator for this session. So, American Spaces provides access to current and reliable information about the United States through book collections, internet access, events, and activities for everyone. So today we are discussing a very, very crucial topic, which is intimate partner violence, exploring the causes and mitigating factors. So facilitating this session is Theodora Amano. She is the gender coordinator for Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEU, of the Trades Union Congress. So a little bit about our facilitator. She is a passionate unionist dedicated to eliminating gender-based violence and sexual harassment from workplaces. Her advocacy extends to empowering young girls and women within her community and to recognize their capabilities. She holds a position as the Gender and Youth Desk Officer at the Teachers and Educational Workers Union of TUC Ghana. Her aspiration is to collaborate with organizations focused on women's rights and gender-based violence, aiming to raise awareness among young females about sexual harassment and gender-based violence in educational settings. So during this session, please do well to type all your comments or questions in our comment box below, and they'll be well addressed. Thank you so much for staying with us. And now I'll hand over to Theodora Amano.
Thank you so much, Sister Estella. Thank you so much for the opportunity. As she said, my name is Theodora Amano, and I work with the Teachers and Educational Workers Union. My presentation is on intimate partner violence in Ghana. Yes, it is in Ghana because we are in Ghana, and we need to know what is happening in our setting so that we deduce strategies to curb down the menace in our society. And so my presentation will look at the introduction. And in the introduction, we'll look at the definition of intimate partner violence. We'll look at types. We'll look at the causes. We'll look at the mitigating strategies. And then we conclude. So please scroll up, yes. So intimate partner violence, as some people will call domestic violence, refers to behaviors, and I use unwanted behaviors by an intimate partner or ex-partner that causes physical, sexual, or psychological harm. It is an abuse that occurs in a romantic relationship. So it could be between married couples, that is a man and a woman, or same-sex partners. It could be between a girlfriend and a boyfriend, a dating partners, or people who are in ongoing sexual partners. It is a global phenomenon and occurs across different cultures, classes, ethnicity, religion, and age. It doesn't matter who you are. Somebody can push you into it, or you could be subjected to any of the forms. It is not only peculiar to Ghana, it is everywhere. It can happen in US, it can happen in Spain, and everywhere. Wherever romantic relationship exists, intimate partner abuse also occurs. Now let's look at the forms. We have the physical abuse or physical violence. With the physical violence, one of them hurts or tries to hurt a partner by hitting the person, kicking the person, using another type of physical force. You can push the person. People can use weapons to harm the other. And this could result in permanent disability, death, sickness, and a whole lot. It is a canker and has been with us for so many years. And it is time for us to eliminate it. Another form is the sexual violence. This is inflicted on girls and women every day and every time. With this form of abuse, the partner, the woman or the man, coerce or force the other sex partner to have sex with a person without the person consenting to the request. Sometimes it is about even the sex position. I want to use your anus. And the other partner said, no, I don't. But the other one, who is the man or what have you, will try to coerce the person to accept that because of their masculine nature, they are able to overcome the woman. Another one is the psychological abuse. This is very dangerous because sometimes you will not see it with your naked eyes, but women go through this psychological trauma every day and every time. It could be in the form of using abusive words on the person, non-verbal communication, social media abuse, where one partner, because of one or two reasons, can use your pictures, push it through the social media to just destroy you because you try to disagree with him or her on certain issues. It is very dangerous, and many women have been subjected to this kind of abuse. And so on our streets, you see women walking on the streets, not because they've committed any sin, but because they were subjected to this kind of abuse. And now they have mental challenge. And it is very important that as stakeholders and women organizations, we need to up our game and speak against this canker. Intimate partner violence, it's mostly perpetuated by men because globally, when you pick 10 men, it is only 1 or 2 that could attest to the fact that they were subjected to some form of abuse by women or by the other partner. But women, because of our nature, are always the victims, or we are in the receiving end. And so definitely, before this violence is perpetuated, there is someone who inflicts the intimate partner violence, and the one at the receiving end who is the victim, whom the violence is targeted to. Violence against women, particularly intimate violence, partner violence, and sexual violence, is a major public health problem and a violation of women's human rights. Yes, because if you want to have sex with me and I am not in the mood and you forced me and you penetrate, you are violating my human rights. People will argue and say that, then why are you there? Yes, I am there because of that. But that doesn't mean that you should coerce me, you should maltreat me if you want to have sex with me. Please, Etla, can we go forward? Now, let's look at the trends of intimate partner violence in a global perspective. According to WHO, 1 in every 3 women worldwide have been subjected to either physical or sexual intimate partner violence in their lifetime. So as I said earlier, it is not peculiar to only Ghana. It is everywhere, and it is a canker, and it has come to stay with us for a very long time, and it is time for women to rise against this canker. Again, 1/3 of women aged between 15 and 49 years who have been in a relationship reported that they have been subjected to some form of physical or sexual violence by their intimate partner. So as I said earlier, it is not today, it has been there, and it has been part of us, and it is time for us now to eliminate it. Looking at the age range, it is very serious. So if somebody between 15 to 20 is subjected to violence, what that means is that this same person have a high probability of also inflicting somebody or subjecting somebody into that. So assuming a guy or a boy live under this shade where there is abusive all over in the house, this boy growing up would think that it is normal. So when he also gets into a relationship, he will do same to the partner. And so it is very worrying that we rise as women and educate the public to sort of so that they will be aware that this thing is not good for us as people, and it is violating our rights as women, and we need to work on that. Again, please scroll up. So looking or bringing it down to Ghana, where our study is geared towards, the UN women reported that in every 4 Ghanaian women, 1 of them have suffered physical or sexual violence by a partner. This report is true because in recent time, we have heard numerous murder of women in our country. A recent one is the one that happened in Kumasi, where a police officer, a lawmaker, somebody who is supposed to implement the law, who is supposed to know better, shot his girlfriend multiple times to death. This is worrying. It is not only in Kumasi. There is a recent one in Eastern region. An 18-year-old SHS student was killed by her boyfriend, a baba. And after killing the girl, he escaped. 3 days today, I heard on Adum FM that his body was retrieved in a forest. After killing the girl, he went hiding to kill himself. And so if this report is saying that in every 4 Ghanaian women, 1 of them has suffered physical or sexual violence, it is true, and it is worrying. Also, looking at the age-wise, again, between 15 and 45 years suffered this kind of abuse from their partner. I am worried with the ages because our young ones or our youth are the future leaders of our nation. And so if we have subjected them to this kind of abuse and nothing is being done about it, then what will happen to our next generation? It is about time that we all collaborate to eliminate this form of violence in our country. According to Ghana Statistical Service, the rate of abuse has decreased or reduced from 38.7% in 2008 to 24.4% in 2021. Yes, it could be true. This could be as a result of the education, the sensitization, the advocacy from all civil societies, from women groups, from I believe the series that American Corner is running, and all those things, and the fact that people are reporting now, women are reporting, and perpetrators are being dealt with. I think that could be the issue, that could be the fact that has decreased the number. That notwithstanding, the nature of this violence has evolved over time. Please, can we continue? Again, according to the Ghana Police Service, about 16,000 cases of domestic violence were reported in 2022. For me, the number is too alarming, and we need to do something about it as people. Again, according to Ghana Police Service report, I'm not seeing the thing. About 123 cases were reported in the first quarter of 2023, with 67% of the victims being women. Again, I said this is true because we have all heard, we have all seen in the news and everywhere how women are being killed by their intimate partners. And it is serious and it is alarming. I am a member of Net Rights Ghana. And on our platform, it got to a time we were collating the figures of women that are being killed day in, day out. And it got to a time, some of us were like, hey, if women will be killed because of relationship, because of love, then what are we, what do we want and where are we heading towards? And therefore, Net Rights gave a statement or issued a statement on the violence method against women across the country. It is serious. Also, many of these cases involve young men who have become violent to their girlfriends or partners. As I said earlier, a barber killing an 18-year-old SHS student is barbaric. It means that he has sort of lived under this abusive environment for a very long time, and therefore he sees it as normal to just beat the girl or kill the girl because he thinks that the girl cheated on her. Jealousy. It is worrying. Gradually, Ghana has been slipping deeper into an extreme form of violence against women by their partners, which is murder and also known as femicide. Yes, it is femicide because now it is not about hitting, it is not about slapping, but now it's about pulling gun and shooting their partners. It is worrying, and we need to do something about it. Causes of intimate partner violence in Ghana. Okay, thank you, Sister Esther. The causes of intimate partner violence in Ghana are underpinned by socioeconomic and cultural factors, according to Think Crime et al. 2018. Cultural beliefs is a major cause of intimate partner violence in Ghana. We have tuned our mind to certain customs that the man is the head of the family. And thereby, if the woman misbehaves, it is the duty or responsibility of the man to discipline the woman. And as a result of disciplining the woman is subjected to physical abuse psychological abuse, and sexual abuse. If this goes on, nobody talks about it because we think that it is normal. Again, strong patriarchal attitude and beliefs held among men is the cause of all this violence meted against women. Beliefs in such that in some of our cultural settings, I am a Kobo and I'm from Manya-Poguno, to be specific, under the lower Manya municipal. We have a cultural practice and a belief that if you are a woman, you are not an automatic beneficiary of your father's property. For the man, it is automatic. Once you are a man, it is automatic that you have access to your father's land, your father's property, and everything. But if you are a woman, you dare not. And so if you live within this belief, this culture, under this culture, if your hand is given in marriage, forget, you don't have access to any of the properties of your father or the family. And so right from day one, once you are going to your husband, you are told that you should make sure that you work on your marriage to succeed. Because when you come back, you don't have a place to sleep. They might have shared the property, so you don't have a say over there. So make sure you work on your marriage. And so when you go into that marriage and the man is abusing you, you have no choice than to stay in the marriage. This also gives them the room to maltreat you because they know that you cannot go back. And even if you go, you will be sacked to go back to your marital home. Again, let's take our Christian belief as Christians. If you are married to a man, you are not supposed to leave the marriage or seek for divorce because it is a Christian marriage. And so you have to do your best to work on the marriage so that you succeed. And so many Christian marriages are suffering, women are suffering in these marriages. I have heard and have seen a pastor's wife who is suffering from sexual abuse because the man doesn't want to have sex through the vagina, but only the anus. The woman is not comfortable, but she is coerced to accept that. And she cannot tell anybody because if you go tell anybody, you'll be seen as a failure. And so she has to endure this to the stage that she went to a program and these things were highlighted. Then she confided in a counselor and informed the person. And so our belief and our cultural practices is subjecting women to a serious abuse, and we need to look at these things. Again, lineage and kinship is another factor or a cause to intimate partner violence in Ghana. A recent study by Owusu and Tinkran 2023, which is yet to be published, showed that the nature of lineage and kinship influences intimate partner violence in Ghana. Early evidence suggests that women who inherit matrilineal inversely correlate with intimate partner violence and vice versa. This means that I am a Krobo again, and I live in the village for a very long time, so I know what I'm talking about. We inherit from the paternal side, and as I said earlier, you don't have access to land, to anything, because you are a woman. And so in our setting, your access to property or inheritance is dependent on your gender. Discrimination to the high degree. And so I am in a marriage, I am in a relationship, even though the person hasn't married me officially, because I know if I go back, I have no place to go I need to endure the marriage. And so you cannot go back. But in the other form, families or people who inherit for the mother side are able to move into their mother's family to access resources. But in our case, you cannot go. Society will even mock you because they know that you are not supposed to inherit from there. I will use my mother as a case study. We came to meet our mother and our father, and the marriage was rough. It got to a point my mother wanted to leave the marriage. She is a church officer. And for that matter, that alone is preventing her because society will mock her. But it got to a time she took a bold decision. Even some of us were even pleading with her not to do that because by then I was not also exposed to this. We live in a village, so hardly would you hear this. And so my mother just moved. Church members, church elders, church pastors, everybody was like humiliating the woman. People were calling her names. She went back to her father's home, and the brother said, please, hey, go back to your marriage because you don't have anything here. She even pleaded that she is given a portion to build a single room to live in. My uncle refused. She then came back to the family, to the mother's family, and there too, she has to rent the family house room. She has to rent. So if probably you live under these circumstances, it is very difficult for you to live an abusive marriage. And then it becomes opportunity for the man to also abuse you. And so that is what women go through every day and every time. Again, we look at age and age disparity between couples, whether it is same-sex marriage or it is between a man and a woman or they are girlfriend or what have you, age also counts. As I said earlier, in our culture, sometimes you are given, your hand is given in marriage at a tender age. So assuming you are 18 years and you are given to a man of 45 years, the man takes you to 7 years or so to go and farm. Because you are young, the man can sort of dictate for you, intimidate you because he sees you as a daughter. Sometimes the man has gone into a marriage and then probably either the wife passed on or the marriage failed and then came for this woman. So he has children who will be your age mate. And so you are like a daughter to her. So he decides of what you should do. When it comes to sex, a no-go area, he goes to farm, he comes back, or you all go to farm. If you are not lucky and you have a child, you are carrying the child at your back, you carry a load, and the man is gorgeously walking at your back. You get home, quickly you go to the kitchen. I said I have lived in a village, so I have seen this frequently. You get to the kitchen, you are cooking, the man is sitting in the lazy chair waiting for you. You finish cooking, you serve her, you have to fetch water for her to bath, and then he will go to bed waiting for you, and you are still working. Meanwhile, you all went to the farm and you worked, you farm. When you get to the room, he said, please, 10. Not even in a romantic way. You try to sort of disagree, say, oh, maybe I am tired and you are dead. He will beat you and force you. Those days in our village, when you hear the noise, it means that a man is trying to have sexual intercourse with a woman and the woman is not agreeing. And so the beating starts. People will have to go out and down, separate them. It is an abuse. And as I said earlier, it has been with us and people were not complaining about it because we see it as normal. Again, the man is sort of, because he thinks that his older than you, he's always jealous and will be trying to be, matching you boot for boot, trying to know what you do and what you don't do. And you are subjected to emotional trauma. Again, unemployment is also key. If women are not in employment, they are at home, the man is providing everything, it is dangerous, because that is when the man decides for you what to eat and what not to eat, what to wear and what not to wear, what film to watch and what film not to watch. It is very dangerous. I live in a community with a woman married to a man, and she's at home. Even though she gives care services to their own daughters, she's not paid for the services she's rendering. But always the man will say that you won't work, you are in the house doing nothing, lazy, and will be using abusive words on the woman, subjecting the woman to a corner where the woman cannot even go out to mingle with friends. She's always indoor because she's not working. And so unemployment is significantly related to intimate partner violence. Again, poverty. I have lived in a village. I school in a village, and we didn't have the exposure. It took the grace of God to bring us this far. You have families or girls who would like to go to school, but because of poverty, they cannot go. And so their parents end up giving them out to men who could help them to go to school. One of the headmaster of our school, I won't mention his name, is good at doing that. So the girls like 4, 5 from Form 4 or JHS 1 to JHS 3, in every class, he has a girl over there that he sponsors. And it is their parents that gave out the girls to them because they cannot afford to pay fees, buy books, sew school uniforms, and all that. And so this man ends up abusing these girls. And sometimes among the girls, they will go and fight. And one day they fought and they beat one of the girls. She nearly died. She was sent to the hospital, and for the whole academic year, she was not in school. This is barbaric because of poverty. Parents will give their daughters underage school-going children to men who are 50 years to sort of help them to access education. Providing their basic needs becomes difficult. And the village that I live is in the eastern region of Ghana, Fantiakwa. It is called Abuoso. It is difficult to even see a car. So we are subjected to the environment in which we live. And so if your parents is not, doesn't have money to push you, you will continue to be there, and you get married early, and you'll be abused in the marriage. Again, economic hardship in Ghana today, we all attest to the fact that things are difficult. And because of that, if you go ask your husband or your partner or what have you something, you are dead because things are hard. This is happening in our villages because they don't have access to electricity, to potable water, to what have you. And so the man went to farm and probably left like 10 Ghana cedi. The man is expecting that when he comes back, you should be able to use the 10 cedi to do magic and cook. So if you are not able to do that, when he gets back, then you are doomed. You will be beaten. And I have witnessed one before where the man said, I have asked you to cook. The woman said, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. I thought, But are you not a woman? Can't you go and do magic, 1 or 2 things and cook? You see, both of them, it is their responsibility. But the woman is seen as the one to do the magic. So because of economic hardship, people are subjecting women into serious abuse, torture, emotional torture, and women are suffering in Ghana today. Again, type of marriage. In Ghana, as we said, we have polygamous marriage. There are same-sex marriages, even though it is not public. Yes, it is there, and we must attest to that. And they all have their freedom to do what have you. Now, because the person think that, oh, I have multiple partners, I have 3 wives. If I beat you, if I misuse you, if I do everything to you, I have another person that I'll go to. This has also triggered abuse in Ghana today. And it is very important that as civil societies, unions, we delve into it and see how best we could talk about this thing to minimize the abuse in such marriages. Another cause that is very important to me is alcohol use. If people are under the influence of alcohol or hard drugs, the probability of causing harm to their partners is high. Again, I live in a community where there's this man who always will go out. By the time he comes home, he's boozed. And the next thing is that the woman is in trouble. One day, the woman was carrying her baby at her back. Before she could say Jack, the beating has started. And this man, the baby now fell on the ground. People will have to go in to separate them. But you see, in the villages, because they don't have this exposure, she will run to a nearby home. But tomorrow morning, she will come back to live with this same violent man. It is worrying, and we have to do something about it. Let us look at the mitigating strategies. Now, as I said earlier, women empowerment or economic empowerment for women is key to sort of minimize this violent method against women. And therefore, it is very important that we expand our economy so that women will gain access to resource generating roles. As I said earlier, if I live in a community where if I go back to my family to go and report that my husband is beating me, and I will not get access to land, or I will not get access to any employment around or any property. If I am empowered, if I am financially sound, I will go into rent. I will leave the abusive marriage and go to rent so that I'll have my peace. But because I don't have money, I'll be compelled to live in the marriage. So it is very important that systems are put in place to empower women, not only getting them formal work, but we can empower women through vocational skills, entrepreneurial skills. And I believe that if we do that and women are empowered, gradually, the reduction that we have seen in 2021 will continue to reduce and even will eliminate it from our society. Again, we should increase access to education for women. As I said, in the villages, it is very tough for a girl to go through the educational system. Even getting pad alone, keep some of the girls at home. And so if we are able to increase access, things that will make girl child education very, very efficient and very accessible, it will end up opening the eyes of these girls so that they will be able to draw the lines. We cannot prevent them from having relationship, going into relationship. But if they are exposed, they are being educated, and they have this knowledge, they will be able to draw the lines when to exit that abusive relationship. And so it is very important that stakeholders, Ghana government, NGOs, we should all come together to make sure that access to education for girl child is improved. You go to some villages, and where they will walk from to the school is more than from Accra to Accra Central to Jowolo. And so looking at these things, it is not accessible to the girl child due to some factors around the whole thing. The girl will prefer to be at home than to go to school. And so it is very important that we increase access to education to promote girl child education. Again, we need to improve reporting channels of intimate partner violence and also increase reporting avenues beyond the helpline calling. So what are the interventions over there? DOFSU was created to sort of respond to this domestic violence acts in our society or in Ghana. So DOFSU is a unit in the Ghana Police Service. That is domestic violence and victim support unit in the Ghana Police Service. This unit was created to respond to such behaviors, unwanted behaviors in our communities or in Ghana. They are supposed to educate the general public on the impact of gender-based violence or violence against women, girls, and children in Ghana. That is their mandate. They are also supposed to bring perpetrators to book, and for that matter, prosecute them, punish them. So their doors are open 24/7. That if you are being abused, don't keep it. Please report to DOFSU, a nearby police station. Please go there and report. Now, I am saying that we should improve their reporting system because in some of the villages in our communities, we don't have access to them. And so they need to get close to the people. They need to educate the people. And sometimes I am worried about our gender ministry, who is a center part, who is a major stakeholder of these happenings in Ghana, who is supposed to monitor the trend of the cases in Ghana and are supposed to be briefing us. We are not hearing from them. I think they can do better to save our future generation from this canker. And so we should expand or improve our access so that victims will be able to report. Again, we should be able to provide support, psychological support services, mental health services, medical health services to these victims. Sometimes somebody has been physically abused by the partner, the man. Going for police reports, is a problem. So assuming the person doesn't have money to pay for the doctor to sign the form, what will happen? The case is dead from the onset. And so people find it even difficult to go because they don't even have money to access the services that is supposed to given to them for free. And so it is very important that DOFSU improves on their services so that people can come to them, and also make sure they protect the victims from further threats from their partners or ex-partners. We must provide mental care services for victims So let's say this young lady, 18-year-old student that was killed by her boyfriend, the mother and the father are still there. Look at the emotional trauma these parents will go through, what society will say about them, what people will think of them. It is very important that we provide mental care services for these people so that they are able to overcome the trauma they are going through. Also, the victims themselves must be given mental health service. So they should be given the opportunity to see psychologists, to go through the system so that they are able to overcome. Otherwise, the fear alone of going into another relationship is a hell to them. And so we need to do more as a country. We also need to educate, increase our education in our schools. So as I said earlier, we are in the education sector and we are doing our best to educate these young girls. We can do more by creating clubs in the schools to empower the girls, to also educate the guys, the boys, to know the consequences, the economic consequences of this violence meted against their colleagues, their classmates, their friends. We have to increase our education to the public, the general public, men and women. We shouldn't exclude anybody. We should educate everybody to understand the consequences of domestic violence, and for that matter, gender-based violence in our societies. Again, we should strengthen institutions. As I mentioned earlier, the gender ministry is supposed to up its game to provide services to the ordinary Ghanaian, the one in the village who cannot come to Accra to report. They should monitor the occurrences of gender-based violence across the country and sort of update us over time. Our ministry is sleeping, and it is time for them to wake up and do more for girls, women, and children in our country. You see, I watched a film where this lady was living with a guy, just relationship, boyfriend, girlfriend. And day in, day out, this guy is subjecting the lady into physical abuse, beating her here and there, slapping her, kicking her. I think that is what he eats. So one day, a friend visited her and saw some marks on her body and said, what has happened to you? Then he said, hey, I cannot talk about this. So they said, what is it? Said, oh, my guy has been beating me. Said, hey, so why are you still in a marriage? And why are you still living with him? Then he said, oh, you see, I have nowhere to go. Even if I leave, I don't have money. So I have to endure. I have to manage. And the friend was like, please, you have to leave this abusive relationship. If you don't leave, you'll kill yourself. Again, I want to use this medium to sort of sensitize or encourage our religious bodies to do more. We have a women platform in my church. And so on the platform, 3 days today, one of the women leaders posted something on their page. It's all about what women can do to make their relationship and marriage work. I saw it and I laughed. Then somebody came and said, why didn't you bring what men should do to make the marriage work? Then she said, this one is for the women. You are supposed to work on your marriage for your marriage to work. Then the person came back again and said, no, all of us are supposed to work on our marriages. So please bring what men ought to do to also make the marriage work. Then this woman leader is like the men are not here. Then she said, you give it to us, we'll give it to them, so that together we all work on our marriage for it to work. Then the next thing for her to say is that if they are not here, so I want you to do this to make sure your marriage work. Then the woman again said, so what happens if I do all these things and still my marriage is not working? Then she came back and said, you have to pray. I want to tell our religious bodies that it is not always about prayer. If somebody leave her marriage because of abuse, it doesn't mean that the person has failed. It is because the person has the right to leave, and everybody has the right to leave. And so we shouldn't use religion, culture, beliefs to subject women to abuse that they cannot contain. To my presentation to a close, I want to say that Ghana has witnessed a decline in intimate violence over a period of time, largely due to the changing in demographic variables over time. So as I said earlier, now women are being educated, they are being sensitized. These programs that we are holding today is enough for women to take decisions. And for that matter, if they are able to take decisions and exit their relationship, their abusive relationship, that could result in the decline. And the agenda that we are advocating to end gender-based violence in Ghana will be able to achieve it. Again, women are more into school, leading to increase in the age of marriage. In addition, access to education for women increase their economic opportunities than before. And so that could result in the decline. Even though there is reduction in the prevalent rate of intimate partner violence, the nature of its occurrence has become more gruesome. So now it is murder, it is not beating. Rural residence has become a hub for intimate partner violence, as I said earlier, and therefore women economic empowerment has helped to negate patriarchy dominance in our Ghanaian system. And so we should all come together to make sure that we eliminate this canker in our community so that women will be free to live. They will have their right to live and make informed decisions. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And then I thank you for watching.
All right, thank you so much, Madam Theodora. It's truly been a crucial topic that you've brought to highlight this in this session, and we thank you so much for taking us through some of the gaps that have been in the place of advocacy or creating awareness, especially in the rural communities. So, we have some few minutes to wrap up, but just a question to you. What do you think can be done in terms of intervention? You know that sometimes you have the perpetrator being arrested and they come back from prison, they end up harming the victims anyway. Is there any way that these perpetrators get help in terms of getting a different change of mind when they go into the prisons? Do they go through therapy? Is there anything that is created to just get the roots out in terms of eradicating the issue so that the person will not just even go to the next relationship to even beat someone else? Is there anything that is being done in terms of that?
I really thank you for the question. I really don't have the information, but I would say that it is key. It is very important that we take this kind of perpetrators into some series of programs to reform them so that when they come back, they don't perpetrate same violence again. And so I will sort of call on DOFSU again, or the gender ministry, to sort of get programs to help these perpetrators so that when they come back, they wouldn't make an attempt anymore. So it is very important that we get programs and reform programs for them so that when they come back, they will not try it anymore. And I think all of us can also do that. Civil society organizations like yourself, your embassy, we can collaborate and sort of go to the prisons and educate people so that when they come back, they wouldn't attempt that anymore.
Okay, so thank you for that. Thank you so much for that response. I think it's a call to action for all of us to do something mighty to eradicate these issues. And so another question is, how can bystander intervention be utilized to prevent and address incidents of intimate partner violence?
Please, can you pick the question again?
Okay, so I was asking about bystander intervention. You mentioned that you've had issues where, or you've witnessed issues where you have bystanders who would have to come and intervene. And so the question is, how can that be utilized to prevent or address incidents of intimate partner violence?
Okay, so you are you are there and you went in to go and separate that.
Yes, please.
So once you have separated them, I think the next step is to educate the man or sort of report. Don't keep the information. You have to report to the nearest police station so that this man is picked. And then I think that the person will learn his lessons. But if you just go to separate them and you go, tomorrow he will beat or he will abuse the woman again. So I think it is good that you separate them. Very, very important. And when you finish, you need to report. Don't keep it. And also educate the perpetrator to desist from such an act.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So yes, another question is about the rural area issue that you mentioned about it being a norm or a cultural thing. What initiative do you think can be taken to, salvage that issue in these areas?
One is education and empowerment. We need to get to the villages. You see, some of these interventions are only in the urban areas. I know in the up north, some women organizations and NGOs are doing that very well. But when you come to the eastern part of Ghana, where I grew up, those things are not there. And so we can, as partners, we can collaborate and go in to educate these women, also empower them so that they are able to draw the lines. And when you see the sign, violence doesn't come just like that. It starts from the psychological abuse. So once you see the sign, the next thing is to exit the relationship. And so if we are able to empower them, if you are able to educate them, they are able to draw the lines. And for me, I think that education and empowerment of women is key in the rural areas so that we are able to sort of eradicate this violence that is mostly perpetrated at the village and is causing harm to Ghana and the world at large.
Okay, thank you so much for that response. So I think another call of action to take it up from there to our researchers, to CSOs, to delve deep into the rural areas to do more, to eradicate these issues. Yes, we just have some few minutes left to wrap up. But before we end today's program, I want to thank you so much, Madam Theodora, for coming to share these insights with us. It's a very crucial matter. And we hope that everyone who joined in can spread the message. You can share the link to your friends or anyone that is going through such a situation. You can just advise them on, based on the tips that we've gotten from this session to take.
Yeah, and I think I've provided a helpline on the slide.
Right.
Yes. So those things are there, and then you can report to a nearby.
Okay. Thank you so much. So before ending today's program, I want you to know about an amazing online resource that you may find helpful. This is the eLibrary USA. The eLibrary USA is the state-of-the-art digital library with 9 premier electronic databases that include digital newspapers, magazines, journals, videos, and dissertations. So usually this resource is only available to use in person at American spaces, but with the global pandemic, We have opened up access to this amazing resource. If you are interested, sign up using the link that can be found in the comment section below. And so this program was proudly brought to you by the U.S. Embassy Ghana, American Corner Aboba, in partnership with Mobile Web Ghana. And that concludes our program. Do well to subscribe to this channel as well so you can get notifications to any program that we have coming up. So thank you so much for joining us today, and do have a great day. Bye.
Bye.